By the way, there's articles out today, tank for Trevor, the quarterback at Clemson, Trevor Lawrence. And there's a lot of different stories on who would take him. And I think you have to reverse it. The question is, who wouldn't take him? Who wouldn't take Trevor Lawrence? And we were looking at the top 15 draft picks this morning. Giants would take him. Falcons, I think, would take him and sit him for a year. I think Jets are going to take him. Chargers would not. Washington would. Jaguars would. Vikings would. I'd like to see Tua. I would think the Dolphins wouldn't, but if he does play for 6 weeks and stinks, the Dolphins would. They're not going to sit around and wait forever. Lions have to. Denver would. The Carson Wentz thing, I love Carson Wentz, but now it's in his head. Now he gets hurt a lot. I think Philadelphia would have to consider it. Again, you can get something for Carson Wentz on the market. If a team has a good offensive line, you can get stuff for Carson Wentz. Bengals would not. 49ers would. And I think the Patriots would. I think the Patriots would sign Cam to a 2-year deal, bring him in, like a Justin Field, Trevor Lawrence, and say, Cam, I'm going to be a mentor. We're going to win the Super Bowl with you. But it's not who's going to take Trevor Lawrence. Who isn't? This morning, the Chargers and the Cincinnati Bengals are not in the top 15. They love their guys, and they should. And then you get into really uncomfortable conversations like Philadelphia with Carson Wentz. If somebody would give you a first for Carson Wentz. Somebody would give you, I would take Carson. Again, the team that's really fascinating here is the Colts. The Colts have an excellent offensive line, emerging star at running back, excellent defense, but it's all being undermined because they don't have the right quarterback. Jacoby Brissett and Phillip Rivers, they don't have the guy. So to me, the Colts would take a Carson Wentz and would take a Sam Darnold, and it would change the franchise. Those guys could sit behind a Rolls Royce of an offensive line, but they're just certain people, folks. I think you have to take Trevor Lawrence, and I like Sam Darnold. He needs a reboot. He's got to get the hell out. I'm rooting for him. And you can get something for Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's got a market. Carson Wentz has a market. Daniel Jones has a tiny market, but Jimmy Garoppolo's got a market, but I think it's pretty tiny. But you just do not get this kind of player. We nitpick. It's so funny. So Justin Herbert's been great, right? And I said, we have it on tape. I said it a couple times last year after the Rose Bowl. I said, Justin Herbert reminds me of a kind of a poor man's Trevor Lawrence. That he's Trevor Lawrence. Trevor's a little better runner. And now Herbert's got a better arm than Trevor Lawrence. But Trevor Lawrence is what Justin Herbert looks like. Big, tall moves, big arm. I think Herbert's arm is very quickly a top 5 NFL arm. He's got a huge arm. But you start looking around the NFL, as much as I like Sam Darnold, the Colts are going to be huge in this. Like right now in Indianapolis, they got this great defense. They love their coach. Jonathan Taylor's been a great rookie running back. Their O-line's great. They kind of need an it guy at wide receiver. But they're not rebuilding anymore. They are a real team. The Colts are not rebuilding. They need a quarterback. They're going to have a lot of choices here because these teams are taking Giants and Jets alone are moving off their guys. And I wouldn't with Darnold. I kind of think with Darnold, give me 3 firsts, 3 seconds. I'd stay with him, and I'd get a new coach. I'd go out and I'd get Lincoln Riley. I'd get Urban Meyer. I wouldn't waste any time. Get a big boy guy that's coached. But I don't think there's a lot of teams saying no. Again, I'll say it again with Matt Ryan. Matt Stafford, Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan works. If everything's perfect, this kid just overcomes stuff.
But that's what you need, the quarterback position.
In 2020, you do. In 2020, you do.
At some point, your organization is not going to be built the way that it was when it was perfect. There's always injuries. Look at Russell Wilson. We consider the Seahawks as an organization to not be a dysfunctional organization. Their defense is not great, and he is overcoming things in Seattle, which is a traditionally well-run franchise. Okay, so think about, because here's the other issue. Offensive lines in the last 10 years, last 5, have deteriorated badly. Who are the 2 teams that always have a good offensive line? New England, which had Dante Scarnecchia, considered the Svengali, the guru of offensive linemen, so they never, and Green Bay, that does the best job in the league of developing offensive lines. So Green Bay and New England, for the last 5, 6 years, they're just always good up front. They're always way better than average. So you had this legendary coach, once-in-a-lifetime head coach, and whatever Green Bay's secret sauce is in developing offensive lines, they do it great. Everybody else in this league is like crossing their fingers week to week. Bad offensive line play is, if you watch Washington and the Rams this weekend, it was
the Rams don't even have a consistently great pass rush. They have Aaron Donald. It was a mess.
They gave up 8 sacks.
Oh, so you have to consider that if offensive line play is deteriorating in the NFL because all these college teams are now running spreads. You get very few programs, Wisconsin, Michigan, Alabama, they can pound the ball. They give you great offensive linemen, and maybe LSU. But by and large, college football now is spreading it out. Even the traditional powers, they're spreading it out. They're throwing 45 times, meaning you're not developing offensive linemen in college to the NFL. And when they get to the NFL, with the new CBA, they just don't get enough minutes practicing. And it's the one unit. So my point being is if offensive lines are deteriorating, and they appear to be, then you better have a quarterback that can make something happen if everything isn't perfect. Justin Herbert last night, he was missing starters or running back, and he just made it happen. That's the future at quarterback. You got a guy that has to be able to deliver when everything breaks down. The story of 2020. The Herd.